Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I'm your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. This is part two of a conversation we started last week, and it's an important one, especially as we head into a season packed with education, training, and events across the industry. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up where we left off last week, and we're going to get into training, readiness, and skill development. Not just what you know, but what actually prepares you to walk into a backyard and get it right. Before we do that, I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, a podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting and splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray Excel, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, Poolside Tech, Pool Brain, NIDEC, and gentlemen, I want to welcome our newest sponsor to the Pool Nation family, Encore Filtration, baby.
Nice. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to the family, Encore. We are really excited to have you guys on. We're excited about all the things that we've talked about, all the things that we want to do. So we're so looking forward to that.
Yeah, look, I'm excited, and I'm sorry.
I'm just for everybody that's listening to this podcast on Monday and just audio. I really want you to kind of go back over to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is. And what I want you to do, and why Zach and I have been struggling so much today, is we want you to watch the video.
John, let's dress up as your mentor day.
I look like a younger, better looking Zach. Is what I look like.
You know, I'm really kind of still struggling.
We do look like
with
brothers, don't we? If you think about it, Zach. I'm looking at him like, holy crap, I'm turning into Zach. Dude.
It's this weird hodgepodge stuff that we got going on because Zach is younger and slowly started to wear the glasses. And at the beginning, it was like, oh, no, I'm not going to wear these glasses. And he takes them off. And then slowly he quietly puts them on and leaves them on. And John has had his for 100 years, and he's like, I don't know, I'm going to fight it. I don't need that crap. And then quietly he comes in, but then instead of doing it quietly, he comes with the hat and the glasses.
Yeah. Yep. Go for it.
So, John, you look like somebody, and I'm just trying to figure out who it is. It's like, I swear you look like some actor or something.
We need everyone to put in the chat.
And
oh boy.
Yeah. And you know what? Absolutely. Everybody in the chat, what I want you guys to do is tell us who John looks like. You know,
it's bugging me too.
He looks like an actor / could be Papa Smurf kind of thing. If he was kind of right. I mean, he's got that weird look.
Weird look.
Wow. Dude.
And my thoughts to the whole
ladies
thing
and gentlemen,
Janie,
these are my friends.
Is Janie okay with this? Like, is Janie okay? Like,
yeah. I think you look nice, John.
Look, Benny is telling us, 6 eyes already.
Look, truth is, I think I'm just trying to hide the bags underneath my eyes. That's what I'm hiding. So when I put my glasses
what I want to know is what's the big difference from Wednesday to today? Because bro, Wednesday you were looking fresh on the Instagram live.
It's
like
the
you
glasses.
were looking sharp. It's the glasses, right?
He didn't have them Wednesday.
He didn't have them. So does he look smarter with the glasses, or I think it's the
he
whole
looks
hat that's throwing me
friendlier.
off. He looks friendlier.
I think you do. He looks
That
friendlier.
might not be a good thing, John.
Yeah, right.
That might not be a good thing. I think you might want to go back to your, So, hey, Ensenada Pools, good morning out there. Benny, big shout out to you, Benny. I know you called me yesterday. I'll give you a call today. Jeanette, what's going on? Big shout out to all you guys out there. Hey, for all of you that are online, let us know who John looks like, because it's a little out there. So, anyways, sorry, didn't mean to cut off, but John, I'm super excited to have Encore Filtration on to the Pool Nation family. Excited to be able to talk to everybody there, and we've got some stuff already in the pipeline with them.
Yeah, no, I think it's I think it's pretty amazing and great to have them on board, and them personally even being in the industry, right? And we firmly believe competition is key to any industry and moving it forward when it comes down to innovation and pricing and quality and so on and so forth. And the filtration game, has kind of been behind the scenes, but as we know, it plays a huge role in our backyard. And, when it comes down, especially when it comes down to, we talk about the pipeline filter and the importance of cartridges and how they're made and the pleats and square footage and so on and so forth. Encore is really stepping up the game, and they got a lot in store for 2026. And we're looking forward to working with them and, bringing their product out and showing the pros so that people can benefit from, what they have to offer. Because, without filtration, it doesn't matter, right? We can be the greatest chemists in the world. We can be the best netters or the fastest netter in the West. And if you're not filtering that water and filtering it well, then you're working with two hands tied behind your back. So no, we're excited to have them on, and we think they make a perfect fit for the mission that we're trying to achieve here, and look forward to seeing them in 2026 when it comes down to us talking about them, introducing it, and showing you, educating you on their products and what they can do for you guys.
And I want to jump in on that. With us, it's all about, we have to work together and have the same vision and belief that, the pool pro, and that's the first priority, making them financially successful and educating them. And with Encore, since day one, since I first met them, that they breathe that, they embody that. They're all about education and training. We're going to be talking about that today, but they have that passion for the industry and making people better. It's not just about like, oh, we're making a product, a good product, and buy our product. It's like, no, how can we individually impact everyone so that they can be better business owners, that they can be better professionals and up their game. And I think, that's always a huge thing for us. And I'm excited to, have them as a visionary partner with us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited. What we probably should do is, with this look of John, and we should take a picture. Maybe what we should do is we should get one of their filters and kind of put a John face on it.
Like a caricature
Like
thing.
A caricature. Yeah. You know what? I think that's a great move. Hey, John, look at me right there on the camera. There we go. There you go. Let me just take a couple pictures so that you can't kind of hide and take that off, and then I can't pull that off. So I think we're going to do that caricature with you on it.
Is this what women feel? You know what I mean? When you have like a really beautiful woman amongst other women, right? You know what I mean? And how they hate on her, simply because she looks so much better.
Calling yourself a beautiful woman.
Are you calling yourself a beautiful woman?
This is the man version of it, or what? Because I'm looking so good right now. You guys are just you got nothing else to do but.
I can't talk. You look just like me. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Zach, I just sent you a message, Zach, and there it is. Ding! Let's see. Jeanette says, I have put in several like them. I like them. And yeah, John, I think what it is you just took your beauty to a whole new level that it just has me and Zach just pumped. We're just have that.
Some say I look very distinguished.
No, it's not
No.
distinguished. No, not distinguished. No, don't start going down that road. So, anyways, guys, excited to be able to jump on today and talk about this second part that we were talking about. And, we thought it was really important to be able to do a part 2. But before we jump into that, which, by the way, I just want you guys to know, we always do the good mornings, and with John's whole thing, it like threw the podcast into a whole different, realm today. So, but I wish you guys would have been able to see us when Zach and I saw him for the first time off camera.
Yeah.
So, you know what, John? We bully you because we love you.
Oh, I know.
It's all out of love. It's all out of love,
Eventually, I'm going to grow my beard. I'm going to start. I figured now that I'm doing this, I'm just going to grow my beard up even higher right here, and then all you're going to see is just like a little bit of color right here. You know what I mean? And I'm going to completely hide my face.
You should.
I think it. Like for Zach, I think because his beard is thinner towards the bottom, it makes his face look at him, John. It makes his face look like thinner right here.
Yeah.
Right. And so you see more of his face, but with your beard, it's so big and thick that you put on the glasses and it kind of shortens this part of your face right here. Right. Am I wrong, Zach?
No, you're right.
You're wrong, right? Just because of the glasses.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Edgar's still in shock with your look right now.
Yeah, we've got a podcast to do. What reminds me of, John, is it's the same shock that people get when their husbands and stuff and boyfriends, they shave their beards and all of a sudden they look for the first time and they're like in that shock. That's kind of what Zach and I got this morning, because this is just not you. So anyways, hey everybody. So going to jump into the podcast here, but there's a couple of things that we want to talk about. We are headed next week out to the Western Pool and Spa Show, which is going to be the 12th through the 14th. Excited to be able to connect with so many people out there. We're going to be doing a bunch of classes. I really highly recommend that, if you're looking at the business side, if you kind of want to start to dive into financials, if you want to start getting familiar with all those terms and all the profitability side of your business that you go out, we have an amazing track that we're putting together on purpose. Everything that kind of builds on top of each other when it comes to, financials. And when we talk about, just something simple as, profit and what it is, we kind of start breaking it down. And there's going to be a series of 4 classes that as you go through on each one of them, we're going to go a little bit more in depth. Right. And the idea was kind of like the water chemistry, right? The first time that you hear it, it's a lot of, a lot of words, a lot of, conversation, a lot of comprehension. But once you hear it 5 or 6 times, you kind of get familiar with it, you get comfortable with it. So we kind of did that. We took that same approach for the chemistry, for the business side. And so everything is going to build on top of each other. So there's 4 classes that they all build on top of each other. So really kind of highly recommend that you go out there. We are going to be talking about managing workload and avoiding burnout, building a profitable pool business, basic principles of leadership, turning numbers into knowledge, time management strategies, which will be a big one, understanding cost, pricing, and profitability, principles of pool chemistry, innovations in algae treatment, and building profit into every sector. So, definitely get out there. Looking forward to kind of catching up with all the pool pros from the West Coast out there. I know that, even Antonio's coming down. I think he's bringing like 4 or 5 of his guys down. I spoke to Larry from Las Vegas. He's bringing his entire team down to the Western show. I spoke to Dylan out from Oxnard. He's coming down with some of his team members. I spoke to Michael Elkins. He's going to be coming out, guys. I'm excited for you guys to meet him. He's the one that when I did the speech at the Pool Nation Awards, he was the one, and he's coming down. He's bringing the wife. He's bringing the family. He's got a 15-year-old son that is really kind of wanting to build his own route already at 15. So excited about that. So we'll be able to get out there, meet all the pool pros and everybody else that's coming out there. Joe Fiff, all the pool pros out there. We're looking forward to hanging out with you guys. From there, we go to the Southwest Pool and Spa Show on that Sunday. We jump on a plane, head down to San Antonio. We are going to be doing operational efficiency and mastering the 4 stages of a scalable success. financial metrics, understanding your numbers to dive into profitability, in the field water chemistry skills that make a difference. And that's our boy JJ. Damn, that's going to be the first one, and I don't get to be in it. Driving results through accountability for business success and basic principles of leadership, building trust, inspiring collaboration. So that's the Southwest. And then, man, John, you're going to kill me. We literally get back from that, and then we turn around and we go out to the Orlando show. And that's the 6th and the 7th. So John and I were talking, Zach, because John is going to have to fly out the 4th because we got to be out there the 5th. So he's going to have to fly out an even day earlier than I do out there. So John, you know what? We hadn't thought about that, but you know, for the hotel, the Airbnb, we got to change that date one day earlier.
We got to change it.
Yep.
And you got to fly out a day earlier too.
Yep. So, and then from there, we're talking about the Heritage Boot Camp. I'll do it. I'm close by. I'm in the middle. I can just do a jump. Yeah. So, and then from there, we are going to do the Heritage Boot Camp, and that's going to be March 12th and 13th out in McKinney, Texas at the Heritage headquarters. And there's already a whole bunch of people, even, Antonio is going to go to the Western, and then he's going to turn around and bring his team over to the Heritage Boot Camp. So we're excited about that. The 12th and the 13th. The 12th, it's going to be all hands on. The 13th, we're going to be doing business, and we're going to be doing chemistry classes. And then on the 13th is the $10,000 Pool Pro Challenge. There's $1,000 up for grabs on the qualifiers for that. And then March 14th is going to be our Matrix class in person. So those members of the Matrix are going to be getting some emails out here very soon on that. And then we come home for a week, and then we turn around and we head out to the Ray Pack Boot Camp out in Oxnard, California. And that's going to be March 27th and 28th. 27th is all hands on. And then on the 28th, we are going to be doing some business. We are going to be doing some chemistry classes out there. So the next like 6 or 7 weeks are going to be completely bonkers, completely crazy. Zach, if I am not wrong, like you have 3 straight weeks in March, because we've got boot camp, we've got podcast, we've got boot camp, and then it's just going to be absolutely crazy. But you know what? We're looking forward to it.
We need to get the Pacifica out.
We're going to have to get a Pacifica for Pool Nation.
We'll wrap it.
RV,
we'll wrap, right?
RV. We need
right?
RV, not Pacifica. I mean, that was the mode of transport, right? From Texas to California. But
yeah,
if we're going to be going to, coast to coast, I think we need to get an RV.
Coast to coast. Wait a second. You're making us go coast to coast? We'll leave it for you, and you start the coast to coast. You pick me up on the way, and then we head in that direction.
From California to Florida, baby. That's about as coast to coast as you can get.
Yeah, right? So, anyways, so gentlemen, let's jump into this podcast. Want to talk a little bit about, I want to do a little recap from last week, just for the new listeners. We're talking about training, we're talking about readiness, we're talking about skill gaps, and why education only works when it's really kind of designed to prepare you. And, last week we talked a little bit about information versus training. And I think it's really important conversation to kind of revisit right now, especially as we head into what we were just talking about, all these crazy boot camps and trainings and all those things. And, a lot of people in our industry are learning from YouTube, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. YouTube is a great tool, but here's kind of the distinction that we made last week, and that watching is not the same thing as training. When you're on YouTube, you're getting exposure, and really kind of what you're getting is you're watching somebody else do it. You're hearing the explanations, you're seeing the outcomes, you're picking ideas, tips, and shortcuts. And again, none of that is bad, but that YouTube learning is really just kind of self-directed, kind of unstructured. It's easy to skip ahead. We know how it is, right? Hit the button, kind of jump up those 10 seconds. It's easy to stop when it gets uncomfortable. When it gets a little boring, when it gets uncomfortable, it's easy to just kind of pause, skip, do whatever, and easily feel confident without ever being tested and those skills being tested. And, you can watch 10 videos and never once prove that you can execute that. And that's why for us here at Pool Nation, we put such a heavy emphasis on training and not just information. So it's kind of one of the things we talked about. We also talked about information a little bit versus that training, right? And people say they're getting educated, and what do they usually mean, right? Most of the time they mean that they're consuming information. And I think this is where the information really matters, right? Learning gives you information, and training is giving you the skill and the confidence to apply it. So in our industry, especially when it comes to repairs and training, it has to be repetition based, because you just don't see it once and move on. You kind of are always coming back and having to repeat the steps until they feel natural. And I like kind of one of the things that Zach says, and that is that, that's how you build that muscle memory, right? That repetition, so that you get comfortable. And that's where the real confidence, comes from, is once you've kind of done that repetition and you've been there. And then the other thing that we talked about is why information feels like progress. And one of the questions we asked last week was, why does watching, listening, or reading feel productive even when no real skill is even being built yet? Right?
Because it removes risk, right?
Oh, 100%. Exactly. And you feel informed without being exposed. And that exposure is where the skill actually forms. And so, information lets you stay comfortable, but training forces you into the uncomfortable parts where the gaps are revealed. And most people don't love that part. And to everybody out there, that's why we do the boot camps the way that we do. It's only 80 people. When you go to the hands-on classes, there is no sitting down. There is no sitting in the back of the room and kind of, being shy and no, it's 20 people per class, and 20 people are going to grab this tools, and they're going to cut wires, and they're going to strip wires, and they're going to tear heaters apart, and they're going to connect automations. It's because that training is what forces you right into the uncomfortable parts that actually make you learn. So, I think in our industry, guys, working alone really kind of raises the stakes to all this that we're talking about. And, when you're working alone in the field, it kind of changes everything, because when you're solo, there's no safety net, right? There's no one to ask. And John talked about this is this right? Does this seem right? And no one can catch it before it turns into a bigger problem. So whatever you know or you don't know, it really shows up fast out in the field. And if you're not ready, you feel it immediately when you're out there at that pool, and every stop becomes real, and every decision out there counts. And then, we talked a little bit about the big truth that we land on, right? We said last week that, and it's worth repeating, that, this industry has normalized figuring out things on the fly. And it's not because people don't care, but because I think that's how the industry grew from the old days, right? That's just kind of the way that it was done in the old days. And for a long time, there wasn't that formal training. There wasn't that focus on that training, and adaptability mattered more than preparation. You did have to get out there and kind of try to figure it out on your own and do that repetition. And I think at that stage, the industry slowly is, it started as survival and just kind of turned into the culture of what the early days in the industry was. And I think that's changing, and I think that's changing for the best.
Yeah.
So
I
go ahead.
think, like, for a long time, like you said, like, access to training, it was a lot harder to source and kind of find good quality training. And then there was this culture of being guarded. When we've all talked about the times in the beginning at the branch, or, trying to find out information, like, people weren't as willing to share. Now, there was always great people in the industry that wanted to, but a lot more people were very guarded. And I think we're starting to see that shift, which is exciting.
And I think a lot of the education still needs to change, right? I think we talked the last week a little bit about some of the styles of education in our industry, and those need to make that shift. And we need to completely take that industry away from that mindset of, just kind of that winging it and kind of learning as you go. So that's where we left off things last week. And, we broke down why that information isn't enough, and why we need to change that. And, why in the pool industry, those, it exposes that gap fast when you're out there, and how to figure it out has become the norm. So today, let's talk about part number 2, and we're going to talk about what real training actually looks like, how to build readiness before the season hits, and how to stop using customers' pools as practice environments, right? Because knowing more isn't the goal, being ready is. So,
Look,
so that was a
and
little bit of
before-
recap. Yep. Go
No,
ahead.
before I just want to add a little bit to the recap, because you touched on it at the beginning, especially when it came down to YouTube. And look, we've all been students of YouTube Academy at one point in our life, right? And I want to stress that not only, what Edgar, the points that you were making were spot on, but we also need to be aware that not all information on YouTube is correct information, right? And especially as being new in the industry, or being new at a certain subject, or trying to learn something that you're not very familiar with, or don't have a very good understanding of, sometimes you fall into the trap where you will be learning the wrong information, right? Or the unsafe way to do it, or not the proper way to do it. So it creates a much bigger obstacle to that person, that man or that woman that is trying to learn an already confusing field. And now they have to sort through and whether some information is the right information or not. So you need to take it with a grain of salt, right? And anywhere you get your information, make sure you do your due diligence and find out that it's from reputable people that are offering that info. And that doesn't mean that there's not a pool guy or gal out there that knows and is putting some awesome content out there that I'm familiar with as well, where the information is great. But when you're first starting out, or when you are trying to learn something, it's best to make sure you put your effort towards learning it right the first time, and then you can expand your ways, and then you'll be more able to decipher whether or not this channel or this person talking or trying to teach is actually teaching you the correct way, and not leading you down the wrong path. So I just wanted to make sure we clarified that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And there's, the advantages of it is, hey, the information is now available and anybody can share it and anybody can do it, but there's no quality control, right? So anybody could just kind of jump on and do a video. And we see a lot of times when, you kind of get some videos of homeowners trying to do things. And I've found myself down a rabbit hole watching people open their pools and just mistake after mistake after mistake, right? And, other people just kind of jumping in, kind of going, do this and do that. And then they're like, oh, well, this worked. And it worked because of not what they did, but because of a second consequence of what they were doing. But now it seems like, oh, this is what fixed it. And that wasn't actually the situation. So I agree 100%, John. A great point. We have to be very careful with that. Hey,
I mean, I almost did my first acid wash barefoot, because that's how I learned the acid washes were supposed to be done at first.
and look, man, the first acid washes that I did, that I was taught to be done, they were just straight up acid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, barefoot, and no personal safety equipment. Everything is all groovy. The result turned out okay. It must be right. You must know what he's talking about, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. But just imagine if you would have actually done that, right? And the risk you would have put yourself in, and the people around you, is just bonkers. But
And it could be that they're doing the acid wash and they're doing it properly, but they didn't explain what they added and what the dilution ratios were and all that, right? They're just kind of showing, oh, here's an acid wash. And you're like, oh, well, it's just an acid wash, right? So it's really important to kind of, verify that information and the source to be able to get the right information. Hey, Michaela is on here. Hi, guys. Happy Friday. Big shout out to you, Michaela. Michaela, can you do me a favor? Can you take a look at John and tell me what your thoughts are, and who does John look like? Because now that he's got the hat and the glasses on and stuff like that, he kind of looks like somebody, and I just kind of can't pinpoint. And Michaela is really good. So I think Michaela might be able to kind of, pinpoint who you look like, John. John's
Oh
all
boy,
like,
this is
I'm just gonna beat the crap out of you, Edgar, when we're
yeah.
done
Oh
with this
boy.
podcast. You're just not letting this go. All right. So John, quick question for you. Why do customers' mistakes in this industry show up at a customer pool instead of the classroom? First curveball. Pow.
Look, I mean, if you the pool industry, how do you put this? I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to put this, but normally in a classroom setting, you talk about certain facts or variables that come into play, but it is impossible to go through a real life instance, or to possibly go through every variable in a classroom, or a real life scenario. We inherently don't have like a built-in practice environment in our industry. Everything is, for the most part, classroom taught, PowerPoint, right? So read in a book or information. And yes, it gives you a good foundation. And yes, you can apply that, but it doesn't take into effect, the 10 million different variables that can possibly happen that wasn't covered in that class or in that PowerPoint or in that seminar or whatever you went to. So it throws a wrench into the whole thing, and it creates issues, right? And that come up. So mistakes happen, and it's not because they were intentionally doing something wrong or trying to do something wrong. It's just that they haven't experienced every possible scenario that can happen, because not everything is so cut and dry. And we talked about it on the last podcast a little bit. I briefly went and I said about a pump. I remember doing one of my first pump installs, and I'm the kind of guy, I remember the first time I did an automation, and every time I did anything, I literally traced every wire. I labeled every single wire. I took every picture of every single wire, equipment that it was connected to, relay that it was connected to, low voltage, high voltage. So if all hell if everything went south, I can put it back the way it was. You know what I mean? I remember that clearly.
I used to do that.
Now it's like, whoosh, you know what I mean? Cut it all and let's go, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean? But that took many, many, many years and many, many automations and installs to get to that point. But when I did my first pump install, I remember watching a video and seeing somebody do it. And it was, that, like I said, the colors were red,
Different,
black, and green, right? And then I went to go, I pulled this one up and I'm like, what is purple? You know what I mean? What is
the
purple
blue
mean?
wire?
Yeah, what is blue? Oh my God. And that doesn't even talk about, I remember the first time I went to do a pump. Oh yeah, no big deal. And it's a 2-speed pump.
I was
right?
just going to say that.
And it's like, oh my God, mind blown, right? You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there going, holy shit, what do I do? But it's those types of things that we talk about, that we're trying to get to, and saying, look, at the end of the day, it's like, going over plays and in the room with the team, and then actually going out on the field and putting it into practice. There are going to be those variables or things that are happening. You're going to have to adapt on the fly, or use common sense, or reach out to somebody or to a trusted friend or educator so that you can get steered into the right direction. But what usually happens is you fall on your face and you live and you learn, and then you take that variable or that experience, and then you put that notch on your belt, and then next time you're well aware of it, right? But the beautiful thing about it is, every certain variable or curveball that's thrown at you, right? Not only do you now know how to approach that and do that later on, but that curveball will actually give you guidance towards maybe another curveball that hits you, and kind of, I remember because of this. Then let me apply it towards this, and that's how you naturally do it. So
Yeah.
I guess what we're talking about is, how do we bridge that gap to where we eliminate more, eliminate having to face all those curveballs in the backyard, especially when it comes down to important things like bather safety, right? Equipment, money, lives depend on this type of stuff. So we have to find a way to be able to bridge that so that we can get people more experienced in classroom with hands-on training, real world environments and variables, so that they're more prepared when they go out there and they don't have to tumble as often.
Yeah. And then, when we look at our hands-on boot camps, right, that was why we wanted to do them, is because we wanted to try to replicate as much as we could that real life scenario. And look, if you haven't been to a hands-on boot camp that we do, you need to get out there, because it is going to get you a lot more comfortable. And specifically, John talks about, and this is why we did it. John and I used to joke around about it, talking about the colors of the wires, right? Which is, you don't think it's that big of a thing, but when you're going out there the first time and you kind of feel comfortable and you're going to be like, yeah, I am going to change it. And then all of a sudden you see different colors, man, you freak out. Like, you're like, what the whole, And so that's why, we went to Aquastar, and big shout out to Todd and everybody at Aquastar, because when they were putting the carts together, we said, look, it's important to have all the different reels with all the different colors of wires, so that when the students are there, they can see it's okay to have that orange wire. It's okay to have that brown wire, right? There's all those differences. And you look at those carts and you look at the spools, and man, big shout out to them, right? Because there's so much money in that freaking wire in every single one of those damn carts, right? Yeah. And it's like, but it's there to try to replicate as much as we can from out in the field. The exact same thing with the heaters. It's like they're going all the way down to the heat exchangers. And I remember having to try to change that first heat exchanger, right? It's like, you're nervous, you're taking this thing apart. It feels like you're taking the engine of a car back out and putting it back together. But once you've done it a couple of times and you've touched the parts and you've kind of connected the wires and the connectors and all that, you kind of get comfortable. But that's pretty much impossible, John and Zach, to do out in the field by yourself, because it's what we talk about. We're kind of learning on the fly. And so you do have to go to, and it's not just ours. You go to all the hands-on training out there that you can. The more that you do it, the more exposure you're going to get. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. You're going to have to go 2, 3, 4 times to them, because it's going to take you that long to get comfortable.
Look, and I giggle and I look back at days where, when I did install my first heater and I put my heater in, I took that, I didn't throw that heater away, man. That heater came home with me. And for so many years, every heater, that manufacturer that I never, or a new manufacturer that I replaced, or a new model, that heater came home with me, and I'm in there disassembling, reassembling, putting it together, figuring it out, because I'd rather practice on this dead unit that we're going to throw away or send to the boys at distribution. They can scrap it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going through it and learning, because I know I need to be able to figure this out, and repetition is key. And it becomes very expensive when you start to play and learn in one of our customers' backyard, right? Because it's time consuming. Mistakes can happen. Those mistakes have consequences when it comes down to money for you, for your client, and then safety. So, and then reputation is even, and you want to add reputation to it too, because the minute a customer or your client believes or thinks or loses trust in your ability to do the job that they hired you to do, or that you portrayed yourself being capable of doing, right? That hurts. I mean, the effect on your reputation and on your confidence, right, as a business owner is damaging.
Hey, John, go ahead, Zach. What was that?
John's talking about taking them home for practice and all that, and I was taking them apart to pay my freaking electric bill, get that fun money out of the center of it. I knew how to take them apart really good.
Right.
Bust out that Sawzall.
Yeah, the Sawzall on it, bro. I'm trying to take it apart and put it back together without missing parts.
But yeah, and I go back and I think about the first times at the field, John, and it's like I always remember, I'll never forget, obviously, like the Master Temp and the Master Temp igniters, right? That's ceramic, and you go to put it in and you hit it and it's like, poop, you broke that, you know what I mean? And then you're putting it in and you're like, why isn't this crap working? Like, well, it's all cracked, right? Because you kind of went out there and you just, but those are the things that you need to be in these trainings so that you learn, right? So that when you're out on the field, you've kind of already had,
or
that
the
practice.
art of, like, for me, like, because every heater is a little different, but all the
Right.
parts are pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the Haywards, man. Oh my God, like trying to get the igniter or the flame sensor and my big fat fingers getting up in there, right? And then not dropping the screw, you know what I mean? And being able to get it. Holy moly, it was like a game of operation, right? You know what I mean? Where you just got to keep practicing until you got it, and
I had one, John, remember the old, God, it was the Jandy heater, but it's not the JXI. It was the older one that was longer, almost, not quite like the Hayward, but it was longer. It wasn't that, short. And man, I remember, busting my head trying to get that heater to work and checking all the parts and everything's working fine and on with support. And I would bring people out to figure it out and nobody could figure it out. And then I brought this old timer one and he's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. There's nothing wrong with the heater. And I'm like, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with the heater? It won't fire up. And he went to his truck, and he cut a piece of wire, right? The gauge, he stripped it, he bent it, and he goes, oh yeah, all the orifices where the gas come out right here, they get full of spider webs, right? And he went like that, and he went click, 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 put it in, boom, and that thing just fired up. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I spent months trying to fix that heater and brought like 3 people to figure it out, and nobody could figure it out, right? But what I'm talking about is a lot of these things and a lot of these stories get shared when you're in a boot camp, right? And you're like, oh, let me tell you what happened to me that one time, right? And let me tell you how I couldn't get this. And then when you're getting out into the field, you're not having to YouTube and you're not having to try to figure it out, that way. You kind of have that real world scenario. Mr. Zach, got a question for you because I think this is important, especially when it comes to training. But how does seasonality and urgency quietly push training to the side in our industry? Because I think that's big in our industry.
Yeah, and I think this is something that we all go through, and a lot of times we have our slow season and our busy season, and when we're in busy season, it's pretty straightforward that we're in survival mode and we're just trying to get jobs done. We want to take as much work as we can, longer days, longer weeks, because we're trying to make all the money we can, but we're not prioritizing any time for training and education. And that's so important. And that's something that I went through for years, is like, you just you put your head down and you're just in the trenches and going. And by the time you look up, you've missed all these opportunities. And the problem with that is that you're not learning new skills, and if you have bad habits, you're just reinforcing those bad habits because you're not taking any time to go get that training. And then when we get in the slow season, a lot of times we're panicking and trying to kind of figure out ways to fill the pipeline with work, or we're looking in that direction more than planning and prioritizing that training. And so we have to look at training and education as a vital part that we have to plan for and put in our schedules. And I think if we just take that step and we make it a priority and put it in there, then it's not as big of a deal as it can feel like when we get busy. We're not making necessarily like a sacrifice to go to train. It's intentional, and it's going to make us more money. It's going to create more stability, and it's going to put us in a better position overall. So I think that, it's just that typical, we get that sense of urgency to get all the jobs done that we can. Our customers are going to be mad. We got to get out there. We got to get the heater working. And we never actually just slow down, take a breath, and prioritize that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And we can, and through that process, because of the seasonality, right? And everybody kind of gets into the summertime, and everybody's just kind of stressed into that, getting everything done. A lot of times you get new pool pros that you bring onto the team, and that's really when they're, let's just throw their feet to the fire. And then those people quit, 3-4 weeks ago. It's like, oh, nobody wants to work. No, it's not that they don't want to work, is that you threw them and you had the expectation that they were going to learn like you did, like we're talking about, going out into the field and learning on your own and kind of trying to figure it out. And, not everybody is built for that. Not everybody enjoys that. People want to feel confident when they're doing a job out there. So, I think it's really important for our industry to make sure that we make the time, and even in the summertime, that we prepare for it, and that we make sure that the people that we're bringing in are getting the tools that they need to be confident doing the job out there. Gentlemen, let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about really kind of the moment that, those skill gaps start to get exposed while you're out there. We'll be right back.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. U.S. Motors Neptune Variable Speed Motor provides a versatile replacement solution for all your pool pump motor needs. This motor can communicate with pool control systems, provide low voltage options to work with time clocks, and can be installed as a standalone pump motor. The Neptune motor can be easily installed on existing pumps, upgrading them to a variable speed pump without the need for replumbing. Enjoy energy savings and quiet operation by installing a Neptune Variable Speed Motor today. For more information and to find your local distributor, visit usmotors.com/pool. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. My 2 boys here. Oh, look at that. They're just like, now they don't come on before the commercial. They wait like 5 seconds after the commercial to freak me out a little bit. You guys probably were texting each other going, let's wait like 5 or 6 seconds and freak Edgar out that we're not coming back.
Keep you on your toes.
I ran back because I thought I truly was missed the commercial completely, and I was like 3 minutes over. I'm literally running and stumbling and trying to
Get
get
out
back.
the way.
No, a customer called, or
Oh.
anyways. So I had to talk to a customer.
Gotcha. So, gentlemen, let's kind of continue the conversation, and I want to talk a little bit about. I think that moment that the skill gaps start getting exposed, and that's really kind of, I think every one of us is as that moment that where we realize that information that we got wasn't enough, right? And I'll tell you the moments in this industry where skill gaps show up the fastest, and tell me if you disagree. See, now he got mad and he left. he just left. He just went, I'm out, So let's bring our boy JJ back on and just kind of figure out what
he's rejecting you.
I know he's kind of rejected, but like, what you doing, bro? You're just messing with me now.
Did you just hang up on me? You clicked.
You just unclicked. No, that was you. It unclicked.
No,
I saw.
not.
I could see right here on my screen over on my dashboard.
What did I do? That's bizarre.
So anyways, and you guys tell me if you disagree, right? And where we kind of start to get exposed a little bit, and John, Zach, go back to remembering the first days, right? Not now, because now you wouldn't have to second guess. Like, you could do some of this stuff with your eyes closed, but you really start to see that gap when you took over an account or you started pools, you start doing them, and all of a sudden you make that turn around that corner. And I'll never forget walking in like every week to do, and I'm all happy, and I go to turn around that corner, and I turn that corner, and when you look at the pool, it's green. Right? You're like, holy crap, like what the hell happened here? Or, we just talked about it, is when you go to troubleshoot that first heater and you think you know what you're doing, and all of a sudden you're like all confident that you know what it is, and all of a sudden you do it and you don't hear that beautiful whoosh kind of coming back on, right? It starts to show at that point. And in other parts of the business, whether it's a difficult conversation with a customer, and we're talking about, that you don't have the true, know-how, and you're having to explain to a customer why, right? That's a very difficult conversation out there. And that first time that those solutions, don't show up. So, Zach, why do you think that pressure causes information to disappear when it isn't practiced? Because that happened to me plenty of times out in the field.
Yeah, I think it's happened to all of us. And this is something, I believe it was Doreen that was talking about this. And it's so interesting. And what really happens is that when you're under pressure, the body's response doesn't allow you to think. It kind of forces you into like a reaction mode. So if you haven't practiced something and gotten those reps in, your brain, if you encounter that situation, you walk around the corner, the pool's green, your brain has to really slow down and try to process and understand what's going on. But when you're under pressure, that part of it shuts down to where you're not slowing down and you're not processing and you're not able to kind of pull up that information in your mind. And it starts to feel like maybe you forgot, or you're not sure what to do, or that information, like we talk about information versus practice versus training, that information, you may have gotten it, but it's not there in that moment, and you can't really think or pull it up. And being under pressure really removes access to that information. And that's why we talk about it time and time again. That's where the reps come into play. That's where the practice comes into play. Because when you practice and you train these things, it starts to turn that information into a pattern, a habit, a routine. It becomes second nature, and they don't require much thought. So then when you walk around the corner and you see there's an issue, it's not an immediate kind of like panic. It's like okay, here's what we need to do. Here's the steps we need to take. So bottom line is, if you're under pressure and you haven't practiced and you haven't established that, you fall back to whatever your current level of training on that scenario or situation is. So again, that's why it's important to get those reps and to build that muscle memory.
Yeah. John, what's the difference between knowing the steps and being able to execute them calmly under that stress that we're talking about?
It goes back to what Zach says. And before I answer this question, I just think this is such a good question. And I don't think it's really talked about, but it's experienced by everybody. Again, Edgar, you're knocking them out of the park, brother. What's funny is, those, are people that have been listening to us now almost 6 years, right? You can see that just as of late, I'm starting to compliment Edgar on the questions, right?
It's only been 6 years.
Yeah, right. But this is such a good question, and who knows who's ever asked this question? I've never heard anybody talk about this before.
Yeah.
When it comes down to, but this is real world uncomfortable scenario, right? And this is, it's not talked about, it's not taught about, it's not taught, but but we all experience it. We all experience it. Under stress, your brain, it doesn't search for instruction. It defaults to what it's practice, what's been practiced, or muscle memory, or what it knows already how to do. So it's like almost, when people go, oh, in this situation, if this happened to me, I would do this. And then the situation happens to you and it's completely different because you've never actually experienced it. You think that's what you would do, or you would hope that's what you would do, or you hope it's going to go that way. But in reality, it goes completely different because, now you're just dealing with almost subconscious actions, right? And what you've been practicing and what naturally how to do. So calm execution isn't about intelligence; it's about familiarity earned through repetition. And I think that's really important. And if you think about it, it clearly makes sense. You talk about the heaters. I can't tell you how many times I've gone back. Every time, years ago, I get a call for a heater and it's like, oh God, I really hope it's this. You know what I mean? Because I know how to fix this. You know what I mean? Or what, this goes wrong, or that goes wrong, or whatever it may be. And, and now it's like, it's a different story. You get it and you go, okay, whatever. It's an IF code. Okay. Ignition failure. Okay. So I know it's and the customer, and we go out there and we talk, and I know it's either going to be this,
or this. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's
it.
Yeah.
And
it's one of those.
It's so true. It is so
You know what I
true.
mean?
It gets to the point where you're like, it's gonna be one of these
got
five
gas
things.
pressure, right? You know what I mean? Is the gas valve opening up? Am I smelling gas? So I got gas pressure. Is the igniter broken? Is the flame sensor not recognizing flame? Are there cobwebs in the burners? You know what I mean? There's only so many things that can be possibly going wrong if the heater tries to ignite, right? You got the blower going on, it's going, you're hearing there's only so many things. And now I can confidently go back there and I know, okay. And before I go there, I check my truck. Do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have this? Do I have that? Right. And if not, do I have the parts? Well, when I go there, I have everything I possibly need, or if I need to restock something or do something. But that, how long that took for me to get to that point? It took so long to be able to get to that point.
But it's the repetitions. It's the reps. And again, we're talking, boot camps. We're talking, you're getting the reps.
For 100%. And it's, and that's why education, and proper education, and real world scenario education, right, is in, classroom education is awesome, right? It's an important part of it all, right? But it is not everything, right? And you have to be able to find a way to bridge that gap between practical or real life world scenario repairs and classroom taught repairs. So, and that's what we're trying to get at here, and that's what we're trying to do, and we've been trying to do over the years, and we see more and more of it now coming across in the industry, and we encourage it and we love it. And we support it 1,000%, but we still need to move the needle and still get better at it when it comes down to how do we make our educational classes or our trainings more effective for the people that are taking it, right? And I don't know if this might be a good point to get into it because we're already almost an hour into it, but I want to go into a little something that I was thinking about when Zach was talking and you were talking before. A lot of this is aimed or spoke or focused towards, the pool pros that are out there trying to get educated, or, whether it's worth it to go out and do these classes or whether they have time to do it. I don't really think we touched enough on, and this might be controversial to some, and if so, I don't care. right? But I think it's the truth, is we need to hold our educators accountable as well in our industry, because, I think education is infectious, right? I can't tell you the feeling, and we've talking about it, right? When you actually learn to do something and you heard that first whoosh and that heater turned on, right? You know what I mean? Or you flip the breakers and everything actually powered up and nothing exploded in your face, right? You know what I'm saying?
There's no
Or
leak.
you plumbed your first pump, right? And there's no leak, right? And you're confident to say that you did it right. You know what I mean? That feeling it's a euphoria, right? And it just feels amazing. And what that really is confidence, right? And in your abilities and what you're doing. And if we are able to create that, or cause or give more pool pros that feeling, that euphoria, as educators, then they'll want more and more of it. It's like a drug, man. It's dopamine. They want it. They crave it. The problem is, why people don't have time to do. I don't know of any business owner. It's like the fight. Oh, I don't have time. I don't. Oh, we can't figure it out. I guarantee you, if they knew that every one of their employees that went to those classes would walk away and be a much better technician, right, and would be able to provide much better service and be able to earn more money, you know what I mean, for the company and for themselves, they would be stupid not to want to take their people there. But the issue is that they know education sometimes is hit or miss in our industry, right? Where, yeah, you go there and you hear the same old, or we have a plethora of amazing educators, and we have some people that are educating that shouldn't be educating, or people that are educating that are only doing it because they feel like they have to, or we've talked about this, they drew the shortest straw, right? And they're there and they're doing their presentation. And I've made this analogy. It's the dry eyes guy, right? Yeah, dry. And it's, nobody wants to learn from those people, right? And it's a bad taste in their mouth. And they look at it as a business owner, I would look at it, what a waste of time and money and effort, for me to send my people over there to do that, and to be and to train and to learn or whatever. Or
And I took the class. And that was terrible. I'm not going to send my guys.
Or to go into a class and it'd be nothing but a sales pitch, right? You know what I mean? That is purely just, you're here. And the only reason why this company is doing this training for you is because they want you to sell more of their product, or how are you going to sell their product, right?
Yeah.
And, nobody wants to hear that bullshit, right? So, I think a lot of this gap that we're talking about, a good portion of it, or also falls into the hands of the vendors and the manufacturers, or the people and the educators that are out there doing it. If you don't love educating, don't do it. It's like we've all had a teacher that was just like, oh my God, you were like the worst human being in the world. Why are you even doing this job? You hate your job. Why are you here trying to teach people and educate people? Well, those teachers don't influence. Those teachers don't promote. Teach us to want to do better. They make us as miserable as they are. So I urge that we take a look and we hold our educators accountable as well, because they play a big role in this gap that we're talking about, or some of the issues we face as an industry. And that might piss some people off, but it is what it is.
I don't think it will. I mean,
I don't care if it does. If it does, then you're you're the problem. So,
So Zach, let me ask you, because I think we kind of tend to see this a little bit, and this is not just a technician, issue, but why do some owners sometimes think that training really kind of applies to everybody but them?
Well, I think as we're growing in our field or our role, and we're going through a lot of what we're talking about, and we're kind of, like you said, we're going through the process, making those mistakes in the backyard, learning from, doing things the wrong way. But over time, we're learning and we're understanding, and we get to a point where, as business owners, especially, we start to feel like, we've earned it, we've done our time, we understand it all. And we don't really put a high priority on continuing to learn as our role evolves. And it's kind of like this thing of where the skills that got you to that point aren't the same skills that are required to move you to the next point or to scale the business or to lead people. Things kind of change. And um, I think that, we still as business owners, we're taking that time to consume information like we're talking about, whether that be through podcasts, books, videos, and so on. But we're not necessarily taking the time to continue training in those things. So we're always learning things, but are we really training to fill and bridge those skill gaps that you're talking about? And then we kind of push that training expectation onto the team off of ourselves. And so I think this is a transition that a lot of people go through, kind of going out of the field into that role of now working on the business rather than always in it. But it doesn't mean that you can take your foot off the gas as a business owner. You still have to start training on those things that are now relevant to take you to the next phase of your growth.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more question, Zach. So, you know, where did those skill gaps show up first? Do they show up, financially, emotionally, operationally? Where did they show up first?
So I think from my perspective, I think operationally is going to be where you first start to see them. And I think that the gaps that show up operationally are a lot easier to identify than what a lot of people would think. Um, you start looking for early signs and things like, normal tasks are taking longer, little mistakes are becoming more and more frequent, maybe callbacks are starting to increase, things like that. And when you start seeing those things, a lot of times it's just a skill gap, like we're talking about. And it's not because people don't care or they're not motivated or they don't want to do the job. And I think a lot of times we kind of default to that reasoning before identifying that, like, hey, maybe we're looking at a skill gap here and that's something that can be corrected. So I think those start to show up operationally. And then as a result of that, that's where the emotional side of it starts to come in and things start getting stressful. It feels like, man, we can never get things right, or maybe customers are always complaining, whatever it may be. Your patience starts to run thin. Maybe the culture starts to take kind of a negative turn. That's the emotional side of it. And then I think the final result of all of it is the financial impact that comes with it. And that's where, like I was talking about, the labor time, things are less efficient. That's costing you more money. That's costing you more time. Mistakes are made. There's a cost to fix those mistakes. Callbacks, those all cost you time and money. So that all has a big financial impact. And the issue is that if we're not kind of identifying these things until it's hitting the bank account, that's when it becomes problematic for us. And like the whole point of this, a lot of times it's just simply a skill gap.
Yeah. And it all compounds, right?
Kudos.
Before we call it a day, I want to talk a little bit about choosing the right kind of education. And so, John, I have one question for you, Zach, one for you. So, John, what makes training effective instead of overwhelming for employees that owners should be aware of? We're talking about these owners and the training, but, what makes training effective instead of overwhelming for employees, for pool pros?
Wow. I don't think it's as clear as, as cut and dry, because I think each people train differently, right? And it's when you're dealing with humans, you can have a blueprint on how to train them effectively, but not everybody effectively trains the way you think you train, right? If that makes any sense. So I think when the way you should attack training is not take anything for granted, okay? And make sure that the training that you are doing is effective and focused and intentional in everything that you do. It should be designed around a few critical skills and not bombarding them with 500 different scenarios or 500 different things. So
100%. And we do that a lot.
Laser focused. Yeah, it needs to be laser focused. And why is because, one, you have their whole attention on this one skill or this one point or whatever you're trying to teach them or educate them on, and then you're able to allow them to be able to grasp and retain that information, and then verify that they have retained it or that they have absorbed it before you can move on to the next. But if you go at it with a shotgun approach, right, you know what I mean? You might hit a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, but I promise you, they did not pick up on everything, right? And on not one thing are they 100% comfortable on, right? They might know a little bit of this or a little bit of that, but it still puts them in a position to where, again, what we talked about, we create our failures and become the training ground in the customer's backyard. So you have to just make sure, again, to recap on it, you just stay focused, you stay intentional, you don't take the shotgun approach with it. Think of it like being a sniper, and you got one target, one thing you're working on, and then once you've accomplished or you've taken down that target, then you can move on to the next. Overwhelming training, it just covers too much too fast. And you need to become effective when you do your training, and create a space for repetition, feedback, and reflection. So you can answer questions, because people are going to say, okay, I get it, but how about this? Or I'm not quite clear about that, and then you have time to be able to answer those questions until they become comfortable enough so that you can move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, right? I think a lot of the training that we do in the industry is we try to compact way too much information into 30 minutes. And if you're brand new, your head is only going to be able to absorb a certain amount of information before the light switch just shuts out, and you just don't repeat it, right? I mean, you don't retain it. And I think a lot of the trainings that I did at the beginning, I did have to go back to, those water chemistry classes 5 years in a row to take the exact same class to be able to go, okay, last time I learned up to here and my bucket got full. So now I understand that. So my brain is not going to be overwhelmed. Now let's go into the next bucket. And it would take you 5 years to really kind of comprehend a hour-and-a-half class that they taught. But I think till this day, we still do that a lot. We still try to cover way too much information in there. Zach, with so much education options available right now, right? So there's a lot of shows, there's a lot of boot camps, how should people think about where to invest their time? So if somebody's out there and they got employees, they really want to take them somewhere, what should that focus be?
Well, I think this ties perfectly into what John was just talking about. And I think you need to have an understanding of what you're trying to learn, or what skills are needed at this point in time in your career, or whether you have employees, and understand what skills they need at that point in time in their career and where they're trying to head. And then you need to focus on that stuff. And we talked about, information's abundant, right? We've got online, YouTube, we've got endless platforms, things like that. And a lot of times we're filling that bucket that you were talking about. We're filling space in that bucket with information that's not relevant to what we're trying to do. I'm guilty of this. I have to I go rabbit holes into random things, and it's overwhelming and it's stressful, and it's like, no, I need to get back to understanding how to be a better leader in this area of my business. So I think that with so much opportunities, different platforms, things like that, you need to be very intentional, like John was saying, on what you're trying to learn or what information you're trying to get across to your people. And then you start to put people into the right classes for that. And what's cool is a lot of these opportunities, like we were talking about the March boot camp coming up, it's like there's opportunities there that pertain very specifically to business owners and managers, and the skills that they need to be successful at that. And then there's also training and education for people that are maybe want to be a more hands-on or technical approach, because that's where they're at in their career. And you find opportunities like that to where you can kill 5 birds with one trip, one stone, and get everyone on on the education that they need at that moment in time. So I guess to kind of sum it up, like, be intentional, understand what skill gaps you currently have and you need to bridge, and then focus your training efforts on that.
John, last question. I said I only had one more question for you, but I have one more for you. So how can someone tell if an education opportunity is preparing them for real world, execution that we're talking about, or just giving them more information?
I guess
say it. Good question.
I mean, it is a good question, but it really depends on where they're at in their journey, right? I think someone getting into the pool, this is the pitfall, right? Where somebody who you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times you get into a class and you think that this is going to prepare you or help you, but you have no idea to be able to recognize that until you've actually gone through it and walked away and said, well, how do I apply? And I'll give you a perfect example. So, and this is nothing wrong. I mean, look, we believe in education. We think things are important. We've talked about CPO, and I've said this before. Getting into the pool industry, I thought for sure I had to go get my CPO, right? I needed, and it was very important. And I thought that I was going to be able to get this and apply this information tomorrow at my work, but everything that I learned or everything that I saw was commercial, right? And had nothing, all the pictures and everything I looked at didn't look like anything in the backyards that I saw, right? And, and these big old friggin' pumps.
Equipment pads and yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, like what is going on, right? And butterfly valves and, big old, 20 horsepower pumps and surge tanks. And I'm like, I've never seen any of that. I go, what am I going to do with this? Right. And, and that was simply because of my ignorance as well. So, it depends on what part of the journey you're in and whether or not you're able to recognize it. As me now going into something, I can look at a class or the topic or what they're going to teach, and I can have a pretty good understanding, based off of, where I'm at in my education level, that I'm going to be able to take that information and be able to apply it and bring it into a classroom. But what I look for, right, is, obviously who's teaching the class, what they're doing, and how they're approaching it, whether it's a classroom setting, whether it's going to be hands-on, right, whether there's Q&A, a part of that teaching. That's really important for me, right, because I always have questions, right, and and I know, I mean, like when we teach classes, we do what we do. I think first thing I say when I'm up there and doing it, look, this is interactive. You need to ask questions. There will be questions, and this is a safe place where you can ask questions and nobody's going to look at you or say anything to you. Right. That's what we're here for. So those are the things that I look for, and that help me determine whether or not, I'll be able to take that information and apply it in a real world. And then sometimes, if it's a completely new subject that I've never known about, I don't quite know that yet until I've gone through it and experienced it, and that's the key point. That I think that's why it's so important that when we do these classes, we have to take into consideration that there are some people that hesitated to come in and do trainings, really were hemming and hawing, or it was a financial burden for them, and they did take a risk to come out here and do this and to take these classes. And it's important as educators that we make sure we make it as worthwhile as possible. And we take feedback and we try to teach them and prepare them so that when they do walk away from that class, they have that confidence, or they feel better about the decision of educating themselves, and then in turn next time they're going to want to do more and more and more of it. Otherwise, if they go there and feel like it was just a waste of their time and they're not able to do it, then it's gonna have the opposite.
They're not coming back.
They're not coming back.
Yeah. Yep. All right, gentlemen. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to get some final thoughts.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. U.S. Motors Neptune Variable Speed Motor provides a versatile replacement solution for all your pool pump motor needs. This motor can communicate with pool control systems, provide low voltage options to work with time clocks, and can be installed as a standalone pump motor. The Neptune motor can be easily installed on existing pumps, upgrading them to a variable speed pump without the need for replumbing. Enjoy energy savings and quiet operation by installing a Neptune Variable Speed Motor today. For more information and to find your local distributor, visit usmotors.com/pool. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. Don't know what happened to Zach and John. It looks
Right
like
here.
They're just where? We can't see you.
You took me off. You kicked me out.
You kicked Zach off like you kicked me off earlier. You kicked us both off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I almost can hear them, but I don't see where they are. I can't see them on their screen. Well, I got to give the people what they want, right? Because you guys go on break and you guys make your screens black and you guys kind of disappear. So I got to give them what they want.
On us right now.
They don't want to, they don't want to see a black screen. They want to see people.
Yes.
Well, you want me to dance through the breaks?
Absolutely. You got to do something to keep the people engaged. What are you going to do? You go hide and, just kind of hide under your desk. Is that what you do while you're on break?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, fellas, let's get some final thoughts. Mr. Zacharias, let's go.
Okay. So I want to reiterate that, and I think I mentioned this last episode, and if I didn't, I want to make sure to mention it here, that I think personally we need to be getting all the information we can as pool technicians, as professionals, as business owners. We need to be continuously learning, and we need to get it from all different types of sources, and we need to get it in all types of forms. And this is something that's important. And we learn about retaining information, right? And whether that's reading, watching, listening, or hands on, whatever it may be, like don't just read something and then move on from that. Read something, talk to someone about it, get their perspective, listen to what someone that has authority in that is telling you, practice it with your hands, get the full scope of that. And that's where things become habitual and learned. And the main thing that for me is that if you are intentional about where you get the information, how you get the information, you're going to position yourself a lot better for long-term success. Because again, if you just get in the groove, you kind of learn and you put your head down, and that's what you do is you move through life. You're going to 2 years down the road, you're going to find yourself, oh, I've been doing this wrong, or oh, there was a better way, a more efficient way. I could have been more profitable. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. And I think that when you can get the training and the education, however, the information, whatever, make it a priority. And I used the analogy of working out last week, and it's like, don't skip leg day. Like you got to be all in. Like if you want to win, you got to be all in. And then as business owners, I think when it comes to raising the bar together, we need to be more focused and intentional for our employees. And it's like John said, don't take that shotgun approach. And too often I talk to people and, I'm not knocking anyone, but they've come from a different experience. It's like, I got 3 days of training and then I was on my own. And I don't think that's very fair for that individual. And I think that's contributes to a high level of turnover in their industry. And I'm excited to see this kind of more and more. We're shifting into this education's a priority, more and more opportunities for this, because I think the more intentional and focused we can be for our employees, the more confidence that they'll have at the end of the day, the longer they'll be in the industry. Because when you're confident in what you're doing, you're more happy with what you're doing. You don't, again, you walk in the backyard and the pool's green, you're either feeling an overwhelming amount of pressure or you're understanding the next steps that you need to take to kick it in the butt. And so I think that should be a huge focus for us. But other than that, I think this is a great episode. Lots of good stuff here. And I'm just excited that, our industry continues to have this huge push on education.
And you're going to be part of it for like the next 6 weeks. You're going to be out there just educating. Yeah. The timing of the podcast actually ended up working out perfect, guys, because it's like we get on a plane next Wednesday and it's like going to be, the next 6 or 7 weeks, just boom, 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 boom. So, Mr. Flawless, final thoughts. Which, by the way, just before Michaela said, when I see all the beards, all I think of is Duck Dynasty. So she's seeing you guys and just thinking Duck Dynasty.
I never watched the show. I know who they are, but I never watched it. But I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
Mm-hmm. And then she said, luckily the guy in the middle is a good looking guy without the beard.
Yeah, no one said that. What's weird is all my gray is on one side and all your gray is on the other side.
Right?
We're mirroring each other.
We are mirroring each other.
So does that mean that your beards are syncing?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I cracked myself up. John, final thoughts. Take us out on that.
Look, I'm going to spare everybody from more of my thoughts, because I think I went on a couple different rampages in the podcast over what I felt and what I thought. I just want to close it with this. 'Tis the season of learning. Education is amongst us right now. We are in full throttle, full mode. Education before the season starts. And I urge each and every one of you out there listening, and I know you guys try your best to get away and to get out there and attend these classes and these courses. Whatever you possibly can do, please do it. The more you learn, the better you are, the more profitable you become, and the more time you'll be able to do the things that matter the most to you, whether it's spending time with your family and your children, or, fishing, or whatever it is that you're aspiring to do in life. One thing I can promise you, quality education will help get you to that promised land, or to whatever your goals are. So, nothing is perfect. I don't want anybody to walk away from this thinking that, that education is flawed or anything in that way. We're just being realist here. And, there are things that we need to look forward to, so that we know that when we are picking and choosing our education, that we're doing it in the best way possible, so that we get the most out of it, and that we can apply it when we get back to our pools and to our jobs the next day. Look forward to seeing you guys. Western show, Southwest show. We're going to be over at the Florida
Orlando
show as well in Orlando. Can't wait to talk shop, shake hands, see you guys there. And if you guys aren't going to be in some of the classes that we're going to be teaching at the Western show, we might see you in some of the other courses, because like every year, since the beginning too, when I get that calendar and that schedule, I look at everybody that's doing classes and teachings, and anyone I can possibly get away from, that we're doing, or that we're having one of our partners teach at the show. I'm off in one of the classrooms as well, learning and absorbing information and watching. So I'm excited, and I look forward to it as well. And wish you guys safe travels for those of you that are traveling. And until next week, no podcast won't be live, but we will definitely have a podcast for you on Monday. We'll see you at the Western show.
Absolutely. For those of you that want to register to the Matrix, you want to check it out, go to poolnation.com. You're going to see out there that they're not the Matrix, kind of the boot camps. So if you want to sign up for the boot camps, go to poolnation.com. You're going to see a big button that says boot camps on there. You could register for the one at Heritage, or you could register for the one in Oxnard. And we look forward to seeing everybody out there. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll catch you next week in Long Beach. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry, a pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.